All right. Hello, YouTube. Enjoy, like, subscribe. We're talking college football. We're talking about disrespected players, other stuff. Anything else?
We talk about rivalries and we talk about UFOs.
We do, unfortunately. Enjoy. Why are we going to sit here and talk college football when Congress is talking about UFOs today? I mean, there's just aliens among us, and we're just going to talk college football like there's nothing to it.
No, first of all,
there's always
you just
UFOs.
opened up. Like, come on, you're talking to the top tier. Like, let me tell you something. If you think this isn't a psyop, brother, I've been talking about the fake aliens coming for the past since I walked into Barstool Sports. All that being said, you're right. Yeah, Congress. It's crazy how we always look at Congress like you're full of shit. Everything you say is wrong, and then when they say UFOs, they're like, "Oh my God, Congress! Like it's amazing."
I always feel like there's the people who point out, and they have no basis with this, but it's like they point out that Congress is talking about the UFOs right now because they're hiding something else. It's like, well, the only reason Congress is talking about aliens amongst us because some other shit's popping off elsewhere. But if there are aliens walking around, we do need to address it, I would say.
What if Men in Black was a true story?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of questions like that. Like, yeah.
What have you done, Braden? Do you see what you've done?
I mean,
you derailed Jack.
We could do a full episode on Stranger Things. Not a full episode. We could do a full football season on Stranger Things and how real it is.
You know that my cousin was the director of cinematography for that.
Well,
director of photography for the first.
No, none of us knew that.
Yeah, I've told you that. Just for the first couple seasons, not the whole thing.
You have never said that at all.
Yeah, the director of photography. Yes, I have.
He better be careful on a paddleboard because if he talks too much, he may fall off of it. And,
all right, Jack, relax.
Boy.
Jeez Louise. Okay. On that note, maybe we
don't
should
get Jack started on the crane in New York today. Do not get him started on that.
Yeah.
How did that not hit anybody?
It was cleared off for like hours. It was falling for hours.
I see.
How did it not hit?
They knew it was going to fall.
They knew it was already. There was smoke, and it was clear it was probably going to fall for since 7 a.m. And then it fell at 9:30.
My question was, how did it not hurt anybody in the building that it hit across from it?
They evacuated that building.
Okay, that makes sense.
What? Let me. There's a lot of jobs in this country. Crane operator.
There are not enough jobs.
Okay, all right, Jack. Just relax.
Brandon, just stop while you're ahead, please. You're
Crane
hitting
operator.
all the buttons here, buddy.
Crane operator doing high rises in New York City or anywhere else. Kind of crazy, right?
Hey, Brandon, what would you say the demographics of gender of crane operation are?
I would say almost 99.9 male.
Yeah, it's crazy how they do the dangerous jobs.
Oh
well, I mean, they're vehicles, so obviously you wouldn't want a woman driving it.
I don't know. It's just,
Hey, Kayce, how you doing?
I've never seen any female window washers in New York.
Yeah, because
it's dangerous. Yeah,
that would be a hell of a thing.
How many female delivery drivers have you had?
I don't know why.
Exactly. I'm just asking questions.
Now I did have the person who delivered my groceries yesterday was a woman.
So 1 of 100. I think Frank's yelling at the Jenga. Anyways, let's get into college football.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon just really started this one out hot and heavy.
What crane operator in New York City, the average hourly pay for a tower crane operator is $41 an hour. That's not bad.
It's not bad. It should be more, but unions limit the upside of individuals. But yeah.
I can tell you what, if there's a bunch of jobs laid in front of me and high-rise window washer was in, that would be dead last. I don't even care what else you put in front of it. I don't know how they do that. When the video that I had that had 1 million views for absolutely no reason last year of the window washer outside of my apartment, that guy, why?
No, men are special.
Oh my God.
All right. I think Jack is officially on one. We haven't started. Okay, so we can start
Men
now.
are the reason Livy Dunn can't go to class, okay?
That's
Livy
also
Dunn,
true.
I got. You're right. Men have a lot of downsides. You're not wrong about that. I will be the first one to admit that. Second, Livy Dunn hasn't been going to class for a while. That's off the record, folks. Don't tell her I said that. Well, we're friends. Livy Dunn told me I'm her favorite TikToker.
No, I did not know that.
Look at this.
How have you not talked about
What
that
the fuck
and
is
only
going
that?
on?
How have you not talked about only that for
also
since she said it?
Oh, because I'm not like that. Look at this. Where's she?
You are like that.
No, I'm not. John Mayer followed me on Instagram yesterday too.
You're doing it right now.
What's happening?
Yeah, you are. You're being like that right now.
You're my favorite TikToker.
Oh,
Okay.
I like your
How
response.
how
to her,
many
too.
TikTokers conservatively do you think she has messaged and said you're my favorite TikToker?
I mean,
70?
she's
80?
I mean,
90?
she
One,
I'll
Jack.
be honest. Just 7 million followers. She follows 350. I mean,
Does she follow you?
yeah, I'm her favorite TikToker.
Okay.
All right. Maybe we could break into this and talk a little football.
Yes, let's do that.
Hello and welcome to Unnecessary Roughness, Barstool's college football podcast. I got to go take a shit.
Ew.
No, he does, but I'll tell you what is not ew.
High noon.
And it's I love high noon.
So I just texted one of our branded content people, branded content Rob, as I call him, to
Rob, yeah,
to
he's
get
great.
the pre-rolls from the High Noon commercials because I realized they're running and I've just not seen them yet because for some reason I don't get our own pre-rolls. They look great and the High Noon is popping. And the two interns that were dressed up as I believe it was the
Gino and Peyton.
the guava and the kiwi were the
No, it was
outfits.
Gino and Peyton, I believe.
They did phenomenally.
We have a bunch of great interns this summer, and all of them love High Noon. They love High Noon so much that they put on the. And I bet High Noon on college campuses when you're in college. Imagine how they're like gold
They have to be.
because they're top tier. It's the top. It's the best of the best.
Everything in college is fun when you're in college for sure, but then when you get out, you kind of look back and you're like, okay, that was fun in the moment. That was fun for this time. Always fun. College pool parties. College pool parties were legit, and if I had High Noon back then, I would have been laying on a float, drinking the High Noon pool pack.
I've never been to a college pool party.
That's sad. Katie, you went to
40.
college pool parties, right?
I went to a few, but there's not as many as you would think in Chapel Hill.
Well, I guess down in the South it makes more sense because it's
Oh,
just so hot all the
100%.
time. But if we had High Noon, it would have been even better. The pool pack right now is out. It's a limited time. The lime, the guava, the kiwi, the peach. The tailgate pack's coming up. The tequila. You guys know the drill. The variety pack, which I feel like we don't talk about enough. I mean, that's 3 watermelon, 3 black cherry, 3 grapefruit, 3 pineapple, like one of the OG packs. Go to Drizly, go to your liquor store, go to highnoonsunsips.com, go to wherever you get High Noon and get it right now. I'm wishing summer away because I'm ready for the season, but a lot of people aren't. So the pool pack is here to stay. We love High Noon. Hopefully Brandon is done in the bathroom, which is a disgusting sentence I cannot believe I
Kayce.
just said.
Hey, my
What?
groundhog's out. You want a picture of it?
You
No.
are revolting. You are absolutely disgusting.
Wait, did he say his groundhogs?
I said my groundhog's out. What the fuck did you think I said?
Yeah, what? He's talking about something outside. Did you think he was saying like his groundhog is in reference to his?
I didn't know what he was talking about. He said he
My
needed.
groundhog's outside.
Yeah, he's tweeted videos of these things.
Nothing will beat the fat squirrel. The fat squirrel.
Wait,
Oh.
there's a real groundhog?
You haven't seen his videos?
No.
He has like a family.
the
I
infestation.
thought he was making some sort of really gross bathroom humor.
Groundhog, I get it.
Oh.
Both brown.
Yeah.
Well, it's also Brandon. You never know where he's gonna go.
And it could have been a Caddyshack joke.
Yeah, I just.
Groundhogs. And I didn't know if he was making a Groundhog Day joke. It's like, oh, I went to the bathroom, whatever. But
There's an actual groundhog.
he does. He's tweeted about them.
How have I not seen this?
He's tweeted about them. You're busy being a mom. That's why.
I am
He's
busy
out right
being a
now,
mom.
but I can't get a good view of him because I have window screens, and every time I zoom in, it just zooms into the screen.
I want to see this groundhog.
I tweeted about him. There's 3 of them.
It's on his Instagram. You'll find it quicker there.
Okay.
Also, I don't think they're groundhogs. I think they're muskrats.
Or woodchucks.
Woodchuck and groundhog is the same thing. Yes, Katie.
I
A
don't-
woodchuck is a groundhog. A groundhog is a
I
woodchuck.
don't see
I'm
it
looking
on
this up.
Instagram.
Don't look it up. I just told you. You people.
I
Anyway,
don't see it. I see you with a fish and a red pool table.
it's maroon.
That is absolutely not maroon.
It's red.
Okay. Anyway, so
Anyways, okay.
here we go. Are y'all ready?
I'm ready.
So we have several things in college football. I'd like to talk about disrespect because a lot of people in college football put in the work and are very important to their team or their company, and they don't get the respect that they deserve. And they, have to take a back seat sometimes. Maybe they have to pretend like they're taking a shit, whatever. There's people that get disrespected. And in college football, we're going to talk about those disrespected players and coaches and teams today. Did everybody bring a disrespected player, coach, and team?
Yes.
Yes.
It's hard to do. I struggled.
Before we get to that, I have three things I want to talk about. Number one, I guess we got to add a fourth thing. But I guess the big story this week happened yesterday when Jim Harbaugh, it was announced that he is working with the Big Ten or working with the NCAA to solidify his 4-game suspension for violation of NCAA rules and ethics and whatnot. Ever since it's come out, we've had varying levels of people saying this and people saying that. Ultimately, though, Jim Harbaugh will not coach in the first 4 games for Michigan this year, which won't matter at all because Michigan schedules non-conference games like a big fat pussy, and none of those games will matter at all. So, yes, Kayce?
They are cupcake games. What we have learned is that does not matter when it comes down to the resume at the end of the season.
No, I don't know. I didn't say that it did. It won't matter. But Jim Harbaugh, if he could cherry pick 4 games to miss in his entire career, I would say these 4 games to start the season with 3 non-conference patsies and Rutgers. That's the 4 I would pick. I mean, I could coach Michigan in those games. They'd be fine.
Michigan's entire home schedule this year outside of Ohio State is a joke. And that's not completely their fault because obviously they're not choosing when the Big Ten games are there. But have you seen their home schedule?
But that makes their schedule more difficult. I mean, they have to go to Michigan State.
Right. No, I know.
Just
in general. It's just like
well,
when we were looking at it, it was like...
I think the Big Ten kind of purposely backloads their schedule. Ohio State and Penn State and Michigan, they all play in November. Like they don't, or late October, November. The Big Ten rarely puts their big games up front. The ACC almost always puts their big games up front. So I guess it's just 2 different things. But we're talking about Harbaugh right now. 4-game suspension. It stems from a time where basically he took recruits out for cheeseburgers. It was during COVID. There was limited contact and stuff like that, but he took them out for cheeseburgers and went out and got some cheese and some burgers and all that. Now I saw you do it. Other people have done it. Kayce, Jim Harbaugh's not in trouble. He's not suspended 4 games because he bought those guys cheeseburgers. You know that, right?
Well, I know, and I also said in the same video that I'm assuming that you're referencing, he lied and then doubled down on the lie and said, "Oh, I don't remember." But at the end of the day, he's talking about hamburgers or cheeseburgers and fries, and I understand that you can't lie.
But Kayce, he's not talking about it; he's lying about it. That's 2 different things.
You don't actually care about this, right?
I don't care about it in the grand scheme of things, but let's be honest. I mean, if he just come out and said, "Yeah, I went and bought them burgers," sorry, you think there's a suspension?
No, but do you think he should be suspended 4 games for saying like, "Oh, I don't really recall buying those hamburgers in 2020"?
I think lying or pretending to not remember something to the NCAA is a very slippery slope.
I mean, he goes on a lot of recruiting trips.
Now there are 2 different sides to this. With cheeseburgers, is the lie big? No. But if he's going to lie about cheeseburgers, wouldn't he lie about anything else? Like
every coach is lying about everything.
You got to stem it. You got to put your foot down and say, "Oh, you can't fucking lie to us." You're right. There's coaches out there. The fact that Jim Harbaugh got in trouble for lying about cheeseburgers when there's coaches in the Southeast and other parts of the country doing God knows what on the recruiting trail, doing all kinds of stuff and just lying through their teeth about it. Okay, I get that. That's a big question. It's kind of silly that they're putting their foot down with Jim Harbaugh. But he's not in trouble for cheeseburgers. He's in trouble for lying.
Yes, but lying about cheeseburgers. And I think that if we were...
No, lying.
Yes.
Lying. Doesn't matter what the lie's about.
But if you could name one coach, not even head coach, one coach in college football that has never lied about something on the recruiting trail, I would be shocked. I mean, that's why 4 games for, yes, lying makes a little bit more sense than 4 games for buying cheeseburgers. But look at the shady shit that's going on. I mean, look, like LSU, all these different programs that have been hit with like real shit. But Jim Harbaugh said, "I don't recall buying kids hamburgers," and it's still hamburgers that he's lying about.
Well, the truth is the NCAA is about as powerless as an organization as you can get. It really just isn't an organization with a lot of teeth. And every now and then they're back in the corner and they'll growl a little bit and they'll but they can't bite you really. They really can't bite you. and they growled at Jim Harbaugh, and they nipped at him a little bit, and they'll suspend him 4 games. But at the end of the year, will it matter at all? No, it won't.
Well,
No, of course not.
Their role continues to dissipate.
Diminish, yeah.
Because and this was an article that was written, maybe they were interviewing a top tier NIL host or whoever runs a company, but at On3, and they were discussing, hey, the NCAA now sends rules, but schools are like, no, we're just going to listen to our government, which is what they have spent the past 3 to 4 years lobbying for, to get state laws changed for NIL purposes. And the NCAA essentially can't really even sanction them. They could, but I think there's a legal disparity there that I don't fully understand. But they can essentially, like, the NCAA can send a notice where it's like, hey, don't do this with NIL. And they're like, no, our state passed a legislator that we are allowed to do that. And also on the NCAA point, I just wanted to bring up, it's, and I get it, they don't have an unlimited staff, but we're talking about cheeseburgers and whatnot, and they don't really, and it's like, why are you going after that? They go after Jeremy Pruitt, and Jeremy Pruitt admits to not DeAndre Washington, who was the tight end last year for
Darnell Washington.
Darnell Washington, sorry, I was always calling him DeAndre.
That doesn't seem like Darnell Washington's right either. Yeah.
Darnell Washington.
6'8", the big 6'8" tight end.
Yeah, he got money from Jeremy Pruitt, and then but he didn't go to Tennessee. So what do you think? What do you think Georgia's giving him?
I love the hypocrisy of college football fans when Georgia fans will stand up and say, "See, Tennessee, you paid him, he still didn't come to you." Well, what in the hell makes you think he took money from Tennessee and still didn't go there? What the hell do you think Georgia did to get him? That's a leap of logic that people just aren't willing to make. I don't know. I'm just so over NCAA sometimes punishing. Like, even with Tennessee and Jeremy Pruitt, they laid it all at Jeremy Pruitt's feet. They gave him a 6-year show cause, and that's fine. But you really mean to tell me that nobody at Tennessee knew Jeremy Pruitt was doing some wrong things, and Tennessee basically gets off scot-free while Jeremy Pruitt's career is over? And they'll say, "Oh, well, they fired him." Yeah, you fired him because he couldn't win football games. You didn't fire him because he was giving out $300 in McDonald's bags. Whatever.
The NCAA is buffoonery. They're clowns. We know that, and it's the same when the NFL gives out suspensions. Now, usually it's much more serious things by players, but like we always say, when Roger Goodell and the NFL hand out certain amount of games for like crazy shit versus like real bad crimes, like that's the way this feels to me with the cheeseburgers thing. Like, yes, I understand he lied, but like we're comparing this to some really bad things that go on that suspensions aren't being handed out. Like, that to me is where we're at. But it's also just kind of funny. Like, if you're an Ohio State fan, a Michigan State fan, and you're legitimately saying like, oh, Michigan's full of scumbags because of this, like, you're just an idiot. Like, make fun of it. That's fine. We all would do it. But people that are at what?
Hold on, Kayce. I disagree here.
What? You don't actually care about this.
It's a petty ass business out there, man. It's a petty business. And if anything happens to my rival, whether I fundamentally agree with it or not, I'm going to bury him for it.
Oh, absolutely. No. I'm saying that you should. I'm saying that if you are legitimately sitting at home, like actually thinking that Michigan is full of scumbags because of this, like that's like the people that were making fun of it yesterday, Ohio State fans, Michigan State fans, for good reason. I would be doing the same thing. They're not actually mad about this. And if you are actually mad about it, that's crazy.
Why are the 2 mic stands in that studio 2 different colors?
I'm very confused about a lot of things. When I came in here,
but he keeps opening up things to me that, like I just like I'm gonna start yelling.
Jack, there's 2 mic stands in there. First of all, we can see the sandbags holding down the table to your right. That's absurd. You can see the cords going behind you. That's absurd. There's trash at the base of that plant. That's absurd. And then your mic arms are 2 different colors.
Sorry, we don't want to have a Wagyu chef in our fucking office like you guys do in Chicago. Like, we're a third world country out here.
He means Wagyu.
Wagyu chef. We're a third world country out here. We're grinders. We're in the mud, okay? Sorry we don't have a fucking Benihana chef coming every day to cook us up lunch.
Yeah, okay. Last time I was in Chicago office, I had steaks prepared by White Sox Dave. Yeah, okay.
What's this whole bathroom situation in Chicago I keep seeing? Like,
Kayce. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. There are 2 bathrooms. They're not labeled. and there's multiple keys for all of them. And there's only
Keys.
one potty in both the bathrooms. So that means if you go into the bathroom and you're sitting there, there's another key for your bathroom out there, and nobody can tell that it's occupied.
But why are there keys?
I don't know that either. I don't know why there are keys.
Like, I'm picturing, so
I think they're community bathrooms. I don't think they belong to that building or that office.
But you remember at the old office how there was only the two stalls. I mean, an absolute debacle of a situation because way too many men on one floor, whatever.
Yeah.
But you didn't have to use keys. Like when you tried to open the
You know
door,
what I
it
think
was locked.
And this goes back to the last episode or the episode before when Brandon was saying there was a dentist office above him. You know how when you go to the dentist office and you have to use the bathroom, they give you a key because it's like, or whatever, maybe it's not even the dentist, doctor, and it's like, hey, I have to go to the bathroom. They're like, you have to use the community one. And I bet it was a bunch of doctor offices, and they just opened it up for this office, and that's why I think they have keys. But you would
Disaster.
think, hey, take the key off. It should be pretty simple.
I don't know,
right.
but I saw Kate tweeting about it, and I just thought, boy, this is going to be a problem.
Very quickly, 2 weeks after the Northwestern kerfuffle there, where it continues to unravel, and I saw the Northwestern players aren't going to media days at Big Ten. Still murky waters there at Northwestern. But today, somebody named Front Office Sports came out and said PJ Fleck at Minnesota is running a program that's questionable. And I was like, oh my goodness, let's check into this. And I read it, and I was like, that just sounds like he's running a program. It didn't seem they threw the word cult in there. They threw these things, but ultimately, I didn't really see anything there worthy of getting all Twitter, getting crazy about. It just looked like he's running a disciplined program and runs it a certain way, and some players who talked to Front Office Sports didn't like it. I think it's a real balancing act between really finding problem areas within these programs by finding problem areas or by going to disgruntled, bitter players, because that seems like it could be what's at play here.
Well, that's the snowball effect. And we talked about it when the Northwestern stuff happened, that, this is going to open up kind of a can of worms for a lot of different programs, whether that's fair or not. But at any program in the country, you're going to find disgruntled players. You're going to find guys that are mad about playtime, mad about whatever else it may be, or legitimately have gripes. And now journalists are going to go out and want to find their story, their hot topic story. And to me, at least thus far, what we've read about the Minnesota situation seems to be somebody who was trying to follow up the Northwestern story and say, hey, look, I've got some stuff here as well. And it didn't necessarily land.
I'll come out and say it. This is one of the most ridiculous hit pieces I've ever really looked at.
And we've read some ridiculous ones around here.
Because one of the key points is they were given a 3-ring binder. That's every binder. And then they're talking about how in 2017 they were given these phrases from a coach, from PJ Fleck, what was they were supposed to memorize. And one of them that they were pointing out was negative was family, FAMILY, forget about me, I love you. Okay, welcome to being on a team. Yeah, it's cringy. We see that stuff all the time. Like when people have team on the back, it's like there's no I in team. Then they bring up a lot of these things. The pain of discipline versus the pain of regret. Seems like I'm just in a gym. You are who creates your who. Yeah. Or your how creates your who. That's weird, but whatever. If you're juiceless, you are useless. If you're juiceful, you are useful. Okay. Roof over your head, better off than 73% of the world. This is like basic gratitude stuff. I mean, this is D1 top tier. This was what my high school football in Connecticut told me to memorize. Like, this is stuff that is very cringy. HYPRR, how's yours, process, results, response. This is bad mental health, according to this piece. Think, truthful, helpful, inspirational, necessary, kind. This sounds like a self-help book. These are all things that are very normal. I mean, and then there's one accusation: Fleck and Nickel and the others on the coaching staff were obsessed with players' weight, according to multiple former players. I mean, that's they are. They're trying to produce football players. I just don't see it, and I don't want to give this one any more time than I think it deserves. I don't feel like it's a lot there. Shout out to Front Office Sports for doing the due diligence, I guess, but I don't know. This doesn't seems like somebody's swinging for a Northwestern story, and I don't see it.
maybe I'll be proven wrong over the coming weeks.
I think a lot of times with any hit pieces that somebody has an agenda going into it, and they either find way more than they thought they were going to, and it's just an absolute home run of a hit piece, or the opposite happened. It seems like the opposite happened here.
All right, a couple of things I want to talk about before we get to our other ones. First of all, how was Cole Kubelik the other day?
He was fantastic. Katie, I guess you haven't heard. We're going to SEC Media Days next year because Katie was validated in every single aspect of her SEC Media Days take. And Cole was like, you know how many coaches and players would want to sit down with you guys, right? Like, you would be incredibly popular on Radio Row because they would want to sit down with Barstool.
I've never punched the ceiling so hard. I was just sitting.
She was so happy. She was so happy.
All right,
I was right.
We'll go next year. We'll go next year.
We'll go next year. I'll believe it when I see it.
I've never said that.
Speaking of players' weight, he told us that Kirby Smart was referencing his players' weight when he was talking to him this spring. But that's something that shouldn't be done. Shame on you, Kirby Smart. Like,
shame.
Disgusting. What's next? Like, are wrestling coaches going to worry about weight too?
Jack's going to go off on a tangent about the weight. No, Cole was very good. He was very. I mean, it was like Katie's perfect podcast.
Did
because
you see Josh Pate called?
Josh Pate called in the middle of it.
Who?
Yeah, knew that was going to happen. He
right,
did a lot of X's and O's, and Katie loved it.
There's one more thing I want to talk about. A second media guy has said this. Jordan Rogers said this last week at Media Days, and if I'd been on here Monday, we'd have talked about it. Aaron Murray said it back in April, and now Jordan Rogers doubled down. He said it, and that was Jordan Rogers last week said Tennessee quarterback Joe Milton is the most talented quarterback in the country, and it's not even close. Aaron Murray said the same thing a couple of months ago, to which I got to say, it is high time that we pull the brake on the Joe Milton hype train. No, he is absolutely not the most talented quarterback in the country. You know how I know that? Because he hasn't been able to get on the field and secure a starting job for 4 years. You know who is the most talented quarterback in the country? Caleb Williams, the guy who in his second year won the Heisman in a walk. Caleb Williams exists. He's going to be the number one pick next year. He exists. He is the most talented player in college football, the most talented quarterback. What they mean to say is Joe Milton has the strongest arm and is intriguing. But if he was the most talented quarterback in college football, he would have kept the starting job at Michigan. If he was the most talented quarterback in college football, he would have kept the job at Tennessee after he got hurt and Hendon Hooker took his place. He would have come back and he would have taken the job back. And somebody, please, for the love of God, change that TV behind you.
Noah.
People around here. Joe Milton has a chance to be a very good player this year. But all of that is projecting and guessing. There's nothing in his profile other than having an arm that can throw 80 yards, which, by the way, you don't throw 80 yards very often in a football game. You just don't. It's like saying the guy who can dunk from the free throw line in warm-ups is automatically the best player in basketball. That's not how it works. So I need I need Jordan Rogers and Aaron Murray. And what an interesting combination of names those were. Aaron Murray and Jordan Rogers, you're wrong. That's stupid. What you said was stupid.
It's when they say most talented, like you said, they mean the strongest arm. It's usually like the raw ability. Like, he might be the most raw, athletically talented quarterback. I'm not sure. He sure looks like he can be, the way he can throw the ball, the speed, all of that. But most talented. I mean, are you sure they said most talented?
Yeah.
Aaron Murray said most talented?
Yeah.
I know Jordan Rogers did, but...
No. This is true, and it was made into a graphic. I watched the clip as well.
Oh, the graphics. We do love the graphics.
There's the Joe Milton hype train is, and I'm a Joe Milton stan. I'm almost off of the train now because it's gone too fast. It's like I don't want to be here anymore.
It's out of control. Like I can understand buying a ticket for the train and getting on, but at some point when the train's barreling out of control at 180 miles an hour, just please let me off the next stop because this is crazy.
But if you're a Tennessee fan and you're on that train, you can't jump off. Because,
and Tennessee fans have no desire to jump off.
Right.
And they're shoveling coal into the engine there to try to make it go faster.
But if in the back of their head they know that it's going to potentially crash off a cliff, they're not going to jump off the train because you don't want to be the one guy that's like, this hype's a little bit too high. He's not Hendon Hooker.
Let me tell you something. I'll just say it just like this. Forget the name Joe Milton. If a quarterback in his 5th year of college eligibility has 2 starts under his belt, he's not the most talented quarterback in the country. He just isn't.
Correct.
Because if he were, he would have stuck.
Well, I mean,
Now,
he quite literally wouldn't have been the most talented quarterback on those two teams' rosters, let alone the entire country.
He might be great this year, but why don't we let it happen before we call him the best quarterback in America? It's crazy that we just do that.
I think the talent thing is, and that's just you can get bogged down in the word because he's
Semantics.
6'6",
Yeah, he's
250.
the raw athletic ability.
He can
That's
throw.
like saying
He can throw.
if a pitcher throws 102, automatically saying he's the most talented pitcher in the country. He might not know where it's going. He might not be able to throw strikes. But just because he throws 102, we're going to say he's the most talented? No, he's the hardest thrower. And hard throwing is a talent, but it isn't talent. It isn't the only part of talent.
Yeah.
There's a lot more that goes into playing quarterback than just throwing it 80 yards.
The best analogy that you said is, without a doubt, and everyone had this in their high school and maybe even college, the guy in the warm-up lines that could dunk like –
yeah,
it was like that has to be the best basketball player ever. Then he gets in a 5-on-5 game and he can barely dribble. It's like
he can't
he
shoot.
gets
He turns the ball over. Like, he doesn't know how to play basketball.
Well, I mean, we do know that Joe Milton does know how to play football.
But Brandon's point is we have a returning Heisman quarterback.
Oh, definitely. I mean, no, for the record, I am not arguing he is the most talented. I'm saying that I think the phrase most talented, the semantics that they were meaning is not what they actually said, because there's no way they actually believe
But
that.
that's what they're saying. They're saying most talented when they mean strongest.
Like, if you sat both of them down, or anybody else on the planet right now, and said, if you're starting an NFL team next year, who would you rather have your starting quarterback be, Caleb Williams or Joe Milton? None of them are saying Joe Milton.
Yeah. All right.
With a straight face, at least.
And in fact, Joe Milton is probably the most over-respected player coming into this year. Now we're going to get into the most disrespected. Before we do that, speaking of respect, I respect the Barstool Sportsbook. That is where I do my gambling. That's where you're going to do your gambling. This fall, we got plenty of exclusives coming at you. Again, we paint the picture every week, but you wake up, you look at the board, you put your bets in, and you watch 12 hours of football. And next Saturday, you do the whole thing again, and we're right there with you. We're the people that bet with you, the Barstool Sportsbook. You'll have exclusives from me, from Kayce, from the Unnecessary Roughness podcast. Then we get pro football. Dan will have his. PFT will have his. Pro baseball, you have Clemmer killing it right now with his exclusives. I know Big Ev and the baseball crew has their exclusives. And basketball comes back around, Stephen Shea. We've got somebody for everything, the Barstool Sportsbook. Sign up for it right now. I just did the whole ad. I didn't even let y'all talk. I'm sorry.
Well, I quickly have a story that goes along with the Barstool Sportsbook. So one of the gyms I've been working out with is along the path.
Here we go.
No. I was on my way, and I was on the path.
How many gyms you working out at these days?
It's the same one I've been.
One of the gyms.
It's the same one I've been talking about, but it's all the way on the west side. Beside the point.
I know where it is.
I got on the path, and I was going, and I had my headphones on, and all of a sudden I looked down at my phone, and I realized I had no service, and I was like, oh shit, I missed my stop. I'm going to Hoboken. And I was so mad. But when I got to Hoboken, I was like, oh, I have about 5 minutes till this train goes back to Manhattan. Guess what I'm going to do? Sit on the Barstool Sportsbook and put some bets in, because I'm never in Jersey right now. So that's exactly what I did. I went on, I looked at the exclusives, I looked at the college football futures. So as mad as I was that I had missed my stop, which never happens, I got to be on the Barstool Sportsbook for a little bit.
So if you're out there and you're just apparently fucking stupid like Kayce and miss your train station.
I wasn't paying attention.
You went to a whole other state.
No. I know what yours is. If she missed hers, it's not like,
it's not like a subway stop.
She missed one stop and then was in New Jersey. I know
yes,
exactly where it is.
It's the very last stop before Jersey, and all of a sudden I was like, I just don't have service because I'm underwater right now, or in a tunnel or whatever.
All right.
Which it's always underwater.
Always.
Tunnel.
Download and sign up for the Barstool Sportsbook today. Terms apply. Must be 21 or over. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. So let's talk disrespect. Let's talk players that aren't getting their love, coaches aren't getting their love, or team and programs that aren't getting their love. We often, I don't know, this time of year is everybody gets respected. Like in the SEC, people think Joe Milton or KJ Jefferson or Carson Beck are going to be the best quarterback. Well, everybody can't be the best quarterback. That's not how it works. But very few players are getting less attention than they ought to. I'll use an example because I don't have him here, but well, I'm not even going to do it. I'm not even going to do it because I don't want people to jump on me. So you get the idea. You get the premise. Anybody here have a problem with the premise?
No, but I kind of want to hear your example now.
Somebody might use it. Otherwise,
Okay.
I would say it.
Okay, well, if we don't use it, I want to hear it because you're saying people.
Do y'all want to do the most disrespected player, coach, or team?
Let's start with coach. We never start with coaches.
Why don't we go by conference?
Oh, no.
I thought we were just doing one. Are we doing it by conference?
I thought we were just doing one, too.
I thought we were doing one for each conference.
I thought we were doing.
I only did one for all of college football.
Okay, then that's fine. I completely misunderstood.
We could do it by conference, but I would be freeballing a little bit. But I would do it.
I mean, I can do it if we do it by conference, but it'll be definitely free ball.
It'll be exciting because I don't have them written down. I'll just have to.
You know what? Why don't we just do that? Why don't we just do like
player, coach, team,
and then we don't have to go into in depth. Like let's just like
off
the cuff.
ACC and my ACC team, player and coach are all the same.
Or maybe we should just do what we have written down, and then we.
Then let's not do it.
I was gonna say Katie looks
forlorn. Yes.
I had trouble with this. Like, I think the overrated is much more easier. Like, I tried to go outside the box with some I disrespected. So I could do it, but
we're going to start.
It
we're going to do it by conference. We're going to start with the Big Ten because, as it turns out, my answer for all three is in the Big Ten. Just like
okay, so that's not. We can't do it because two of mine are in the SEC. One of them's in the Pac-12. So this is not how.
No. My all three was like I was saying. All three of in the ACC. They all play for the same team. Players on the team's the team, and the coach is the coach of the team.
This has become a mess.
Let's just do conference, and if you don't have it, it's like whatever, or we could not.
All right, let's do the ACC. Jack,
all right,
you're going to lead us off, and we are absolutely just floating down the river without a paddle right now. Jack, who is the most disrespected player in the Atlantic Coast Conference?
Don't be making jokes about floating down a river without a paddle, especially if it's 8 feet.
Just relax and just answer the college football question.
All right.
God damn it.
All right. Player, Riley Leonard. Coach, Mike Elko. Team.
No, stop. What are you doing?
I thought we'd all do it
at
once.
All three at once?
Wait. You know that there's zero organization. By the way, I had a great list idea for this episode. It was like very organized, and Brandon just.
I threw it off. No, I threw it off. We had a plan, and I threw it off. I thought we would do player, coach, and team all at the same time in our conference, so it doesn't take up too much time.
Like, what?
I also disagree with the Mike Elko 100%. He won.
This is what's going to happen.
Coach of the year last year.
I would say Mike Elko. Even winning ACC Coach of the Year doesn't give him enough respect coming into this year. What he did last year at Duke is one of the best rebuilding jobs we've seen in college football over the past decade. It is phenomenal. It is special. And I think if you're looking at coaches that are going to be top-tier coaches over the next decade, Mike Elko's at the top of the list. And he's not mentioned there.
I would kill to have Mike Elko back.
I know. But you would kill to have him back as a defensive coordinator.
Correct.
Not a head coach.
But I would
kill.
Oh, no. I would take him as a head coach.
And my big thing is, we've seen guys go to Duke. Maybe they're like preppy, whatnot. Mike Elko came from the SEC. Like, he knows how to coach, okay? Mike Elko, Riley Leonard's an amazing quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And I think Duke's another team. Actually, I'll just change it to Clemson. Clemson's a team.
Stop changing it. Stop taking everything.
All right. I'm done. I'm done. No, you guys are up. You guys are up.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Okay.
I know this is a nightmare.
It's not a nightmare. We're gonna get through
this
it.
Is fun.
I know. I'm just saying it's just like it's so us. It hurts.
We're floating down a paddle without a boat. Just relax. Okay. Here we go.
Okay.
I've got my disrespected program, my disrespected coach, and my disrespected player in the ACC, and they're also all from the same team. That's how it worked out. The team is Pittsburgh. Pitt is good every year, good to very good every single year. And every time you come to the ACC, do you ever hear anybody say Pitt could win the ACC this year? No, you never hear that. And I know Clemson exists. I know Florida State now exists. But Pitt is right there behind them year in, year out as being very good. You know why? Pat Narduzzi is their coach. And nobody talks about Pat Narduzzi as being one of the better coaches in the country and one of the more consistent coaches in the country. And he is. Every single year Pat Narduzzi has a team take the field, they're going to compete and they're going to be very good. And they're going to be better than these Virginia Techs and Georgia Techs and Boston Colleges of the world. And the most disrespected player in the ACC. I had the weirdest interaction over this player a couple of weeks ago. One fan base, the Boston College fan base. Phil Jerkovich 2 years ago was one of the hot names in college football, had a very good year. And then last year, the cheese slid off the cracker and everything went wrong for Boston College. And people now act like he's the worst quarterback that ever lived. He's getting a second life at Pitt, and I think he can get back to where he was as a very good quarterback. Boston College fans follow his name around Twitter and absolutely destroy everything online about him because they are bitter that he left and it ended poorly. And Boston College fans can go suck a big fat dick. Because Phil Jerkovich has a chance to get back to where he was, to be good, and to be around an actual football program with actual fans and not that piece of shit up in Chestnut Hill.
Which is a perfect college football town name, as we've said. Chestnut Hill is perfect.
Great college town name and underrated stadium on NCAA the football game. Kayce, I'm sorry. Why don't you do the ACC?
Okay, so I'm just going to follow along with you guys because I didn't have any in the ACC. So I'm just going to do my player, coach, and team all from the same program as well. And this one is probably a little bit cheating. And I know Katie's not going to
like this answer, though.
I think it's going to be North Carolina.
Oh,
what were you? What'd you thought?
I thought you were going to say Clemson. I think that's a fine answer.
Well, I don't think that Dabo's being disrespected.
Jesus
Anyways.
Christ, Jack is trying to make Clemson being disrespected a thing.
I'm not going to do. I don't think that Drake May is being disrespected. He's obviously.
I do.
Well, Katie does disrespect him, yes. But overall, and I've done this just in the last couple of weeks. I talk about Jordan Travis in the ACC. I talk about him as one of the top quarterbacks. Drake May is one of the top quarterbacks in the country statistically. He's contending against Caleb Williams for Heisman. And for some reason, even in my own brain, I don't talk about him enough, and I should. North Carolina, yeah, they had a terrible end to the season last year. Still an incredible team in the ACC. And then Mac Brown, and I'm not just saying this because I like Mac. Mac is a national championship winning coach from Texas. He put Texas back on the map. He kept them on the map. They've been chasing what happened with Mac Brown in Austin since he left. And he doesn't get the love because his defensive coordinator stinks, and I understand that. But North Carolina last year and this year, a very good team in the ACC. When you talk about Clemson right now, who is, quote, down for their standards, you've got one of the best quarterbacks in the country, a coach who knows how to win it all, and a team around them with all the talent. I think it's absolutely North Carolina.
Katie?
So I have Drake May on my list, but for a different reason. I personally do not disrespect him. I think our team and our coaching staff and our defense is disrespecting him because they're wasting a generational quarterback on a dog shit defense. I personally think he should have probably gone to Alabama. I think we are just wasting his talent, skill, everything.
Katie, I don't know if I've ever heard somebody say,
a fan say,
we have a generational talent. He should have gone somewhere else.
It's a business at the end of the day. I'm going to get we're wasting his skill on a defense that will not keep him off the field. That's, I think, is just that's disrespectful. Is that not?
I don't hate it. It just makes me mad that you guys have a generational talent at quarterback when right before him you had another generational talent. You had Sam Howell. Why does North Carolina keep getting these guys?
And then
maybe Mac Brown's a good recruiter.
We can't recruit some defense.
All right.
I'd love to hear that.
Katie just put a nice punctuation mark at the end of my whole thing about disrespect for North Carolina. She does it.
Kayce, how about your team and program or program and coach?
Me?
That was it. She said.
Did I say Kayce or Katie?
You said Kayce.
I meant Katie. You guys know your names are too similar. We need to have this conversation. Okay. We need to have this conversation. I have 4 kids. I call them by the wrong name all the time. Now I have to work with somebody named Kayce and Katie. It's bullshit.
And then 2 Jack Macs that are very prevalent in your life.
It's not
so
fair.
Kate.
I got too many K's. I got Kayce. I got Katie. I got Kate. You want to go to the SEC?
For mine,
that was special.
I was going to do Dave Clawson. I'm on the fence with him. So I looked in my head. I thought that he was a consistently 7-8 win team even before Sam Hartman got there. It's closer to 3 and 4. If he does continue it without him, I think that'll be a fully disrespected because he kind of turns out that. And I think just the NC State for disrespected, I really hate I'm saying this. They're consistently 7, 8, 9 wins. Like they're gonna knock off someone good. They're consistent, just chugging along. You don't want to see them. They're gonna knock you off at some point. It's like they're never gonna be at the top of it or the bottom, but they're always gonna be there and enough to be scary.
All right. We're going to do the Big Ten now. And just for informational purposes, all three of my Big Ten answers are different schools. And when we were just doing one per disrespected across the country, these three answers were my three answers for those. Okay. So here's my most disrespected player in the Big Ten and maybe the country. Blake Corum gets all the love. Donovan Edwards gets a lot of love. Nick Singleton at Penn State gets a lot of love. And this guy gets love too, but I think people are forgetting with him. Travion Henderson had maybe the best freshman season ever for an Ohio State running back, and that's saying a lot. They've had some of the best running backs in the history of college football, and they played early. Travion Henderson a couple years ago, 1,500 yards or something, 15 touchdowns, was a monster and incredible. Last year, he got hurt, and he struggled, and he didn't play very well because he was hurt the whole season. Well, now, coming into the season, everybody, when you talk about running back, wants to talk about Blake Corum. They want to talk about Quinshon Judkins. They want to talk about all these guys. Travion Henderson might be the best running back in the country, and nobody's going to see it coming because they put him behind all these guys because of his injury-plagued season a year ago. I think Travion Henderson, pound for pound, is probably the most talented back in America, and he isn't getting treated like that. I think he's catching some rogue disrespect here. He's like 20th on the Barstool Sportsbook in odds for the Heisman. He's well behind Corum. He's behind guys like Connor Wigman at Texas A&M. He's behind guys he should not be behind. I think he's disrespected. That is my player. My coach. Who was my coach? I've written it down right here. Who was my coach? Does anybody know who my coach was? Ah, yes. Jack, I wonder if you're going to agree with this. I think the most disrespected coach in the Big Ten. People act like James Franklin just can't coach.
It's sad.
I mean
they act like a Penn State. Well, not as long as Franklin's there. He's pretty fucking good. Like last year, they went 11-2 and lost Ohio State, Michigan, 2 playoff teams. Like I understand why they lost those games. James Franklin is treated as if he is just some crumb bum off the street that got lucky and got handed a job. He's a really fucking good coach, and people pretend he's not one of the top 15 coaches in America. And I don't understand it. I don't see it. He is really good. They got a chance to be really good this year and be in the playoff conversation. And any conversation about top 15 coaches doesn't have James Franklin, just doesn't need to talk college football. And lastly, my most disrespected program in the Big Ten. I can't believe I'm doing this one. It's the Iowa Hawkeyes. Because of their offense, they're a punchline. We joke about them. We say, oh, Iowa this, Iowa that. Look, they got to average 25 points a game this year. And we do laugh about them. But in the last 10 years, their low win total is 7. Outside the COVID year when they went 6-2. Their low win total in the last 10 years is 7. They've only done that once. They've been above 8 wins 9 out of the last 10 years, sometimes significantly over that. They're consistently one of the best programs in the country. And even though they can't score and their offense is kind of funny to look at, every year they're good. Every year their defense is incredible. So I think they're a very disrespected program, and that's somebody who fucking hates them. All right, Kayce, most disrespected player, coach, team in the Big Ten.
I'm going to go, and I know you're going to argue with me here, but I think that most disrespected player, and again, these are all off the cuff. I didn't have any for the Big Ten, but I'm going to say J.J. McCarthy.
Ugh.
I know.
You took mine.
Oh, I took yours.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I feel like he was easy to point out because, as you mentioned, you've got guys like Blake Corum, you've got the running backs that Michigan was able to have, but J.J. McCarthy still got this team to the college football playoff. And in the most important game of the season, when they played Ohio State, he was able to carve up that defense. And I understand the defense made some really bad, explosive mistakes, but J.J. McCarthy was the quarterback that was making that happen. And then the way that they played against TCU, it was like, well, this guy just stinks. He's horrible. And when we talk about quarterbacks in the country, Brandon, you are one of those people that are like, well, J.J. McCarthy's not any good. Well, yeah, he is. He got his team to the college football playoff.
I never said he wasn't any good.
He likes JJ.
I thought you didn't like JJ.
I said when you talk about the playoff, you gotta admit he lost that game for Michigan.
Okay, that's fair. For some reason, I thought you just did not like JJ
But he got him
McCarthy.
there.
But yeah, he did, and I feel like he's disrespected because of everything else that Michigan was able to roll out. But as we've seen in other programs in the country throughout history, you don't have to be the most explosive quarterback. You don't have to be the most talented quarterback. You just have to run the offense and run it well and get your team to that next level, and JJ McCarthy did. I agree with James Franklin as the coach, even though I am one of those people that sometimes likes to shit on James Franklin, but I'll take that even further. And Penn State to me is disrespected as a program sometimes because we always look at Ohio State and Michigan. We're like, well, those two teams are going to be there. Well, Penn State last year only lost to those teams, and now they bring in Drew Aller, who has a lot of hype around him. So I'm going to say, going into this season at least, that I don't think Penn State is getting near as much love as they should, and maybe that's understandably because of who's in front of them, but they are the third best team in the Big Ten, potentially the second or first, we'll see. And then coach, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, I think that people give Ryan Day too much shit. And I do not like Urban Meyer. That's well known, but Urban Meyer is one of the best college football coaches of my lifetime. We know what he left at Ohio State. Ryan Day was born on third base, the whole thing. But just because you're born on third base doesn't mean that you're going to continue to have the success every single year. And it's easy to say, oh, Ryan Day inherited it and like he can't get to that next level.
She's spitting.
I mean, it's true,
No,
though.
you're
It's
spitting.
like Ohio State fans want to fire Ryan Day when they lose to Michigan. It's like he could be losing to random-ass teams every week. Just because he was given the players does not make you a good football coach. If I inherited Urban Meyer's players, I'm not making it to the college football
We
playoff.
see programs fall off all the time.
All the time. So I think Ryan Day gets disrespected a lot. And even though he maybe deserved it, after the Michigan game in the regular season, they still made it to the playoff. They still made it, a lot further than majority of coaches could, even with Urban Meyer's roster.
Yeah.
All right. JJ McCarthy, player. Kayce already discussed. James Franklin's my coach, who I really look at from the perspective of this is something that one of my friends he's a content creator, he's a professional bettor. His name's Andrew Gombos. He bets on MMA, and he has this podcast, and he references all the time people devalue how hard it is to go 50% in the UFC. Like if you have a 6, 7, 8 fight UFC career and you're coming into your 9th and you're 4-4, that's very impressive. What James Franklin does on a yearly basis outside of COVID, getting to the heights he's gotten to is still incredibly impressive. Yes, I wouldn't put him up there with Jim Harbaugh. I wouldn't put him up there even with Ryan Day, but he's right there. And if he breaks through this year, like the used car salesman joke, which I think is funny, don't get me wrong. And like I get we have to react to things, but he would be up there. And then for team, I think when's the last time we talked about Maryland on this podcast? I think Maryland could be a decent squad. And what?
I gassed up Maryland all year last year.
Oh, I meant like this offseason.
All right.
I'm saying like in terms of this season.
Going into 2023.
I think, Talia's back. They did lose a lot of they actually lost a lot of talent to the NFL draft because they do recruit well, and I think they could have a decent team this year. I'm not saying they could compete for the Big Ten, but who knows? They could be a team that could knock off somebody, and they play those top tier teams. It's like, when's Michigan, Penn State, or Ohio State going to lose? I'm not saying Maryland's going to beat them, but those games won't be easy for them.
All right, Katie, stats, coach, player, team, program, whatever.
For me, player, I'm going to say a name, listen to my explanation. I'm going to say Marvin Harrison Jr. in the terms of Heisman. 1 second. On the Barstool Sportsbook, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyle McCord have the same Heisman odds. How does the best reigning wide receiver have the same odds as a quarterback that hasn't taken a college football snap? I know it's a quarterback effect, but that's just like, to me, that was like my standout disrespectful. Like, it's a Heisman problem. It's always going to be that way. Brock Bowers is 700, is 7,500. But it's just like, how is the best wide receiver has the same odds as a quarterback that has never played a snap?
Because it's way easier for a quarterback to win the Heisman than a receiver.
Yes, I mentioned that, but that just stood out as disrespectful to me.
I saw somebody compare Marvin Harrison Jr. today to Calvin Johnson. So,
yeah, Harrison Jr. is weird. I don't know, and whatever. And your coach and team.
These are the ones I'm doing on the fly. I think Brett Bielema. I feel like he's kind of very
a good
quietly
one.
when you get like the O line, the D line, you don't really make the sparks. But they went from 2-6 to 8-5 in 2 year span. It's fun to do. And their defense was better than Georgia in some categories last year. I think that's not talked about enough. And then I think for the disrespected program in Iowa, I'm doing it for the opposite reason Brandon did it. I think they're disrespected and almost deserve to be so. Like, they're disrespected and they should be even more. Like, I don't have more respect for yourself and fix your offense, just not resting everything on the defense.
Fair enough. I don't mind that one at all. All right, we go to the Southeastern Conference.
I know.
Listen,
I know where you're going.
This is good. No, let him cook. No, let him cook.
I know.
Let him cook.
listen. I don't think there's a more disrespected program or player in the country than these two I'm about to say right now. I'm sorry. I know that I got cowbells behind me. I know that I bleed maroon. I know I'm a Mississippi State fan. I know you're going to say I'm a homer. Are you fucking kidding me with this shit? You got guys out there saying that KJ Jefferson's the best quarterback in the SEC. Carson Beck's going to be the best. Joe Milton's the most talented player in the country. You got a guy who's thrown for 10,000 yards and 86 touchdowns. Remarkable statistics, who won 9 games last year, who beat A&M, who beat Auburn, who beat Ole Miss, beat all these teams that's ranked ahead of them this year. And everybody says, oh, well, they're changing the offense. Will Rogers, he's not going to be very good. He's behind all these guys. Bull fucking shit. We'll see if that is indeed the case. But you give every other guy the benefit of the doubt. Joe Milton's never proven he can keep a job more than 3 weeks at a time, and we're saying he's the best quarterback in the country. KJ Jefferson, he can throw. He's pretty good. He's never run for more than 600 yards in a season. He's not exactly the dual threat Denard Robinson guy that you guys claim that he is. Will Rogers produces. Will Rogers wins. And nobody mentions him as one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC this year, and it's fucking bullshit. And Mississippi State, once again, for the 7th year out of the last 12, has been picked by the media to finish 7th in the SEC West. In that time, how many times has it happened? Once. They get picked every year to finish last in the West, even though over the last 10, 15 years, they got more wins than Auburn, than Arkansas, than Ole Miss. They're right there with A&M. They beat A&M every year. I don't understand why these other teams get the benefit of the doubt in every single goddamn season. Mississippi State's going to finish last from the media, because the media doesn't fucking know. They don't respect Mississippi State enough, and they can kiss my fucking ass. Where are we?
Cooked.
Do you think though that's like maybe just hear me out? Like, what if that's a you thing?
No.
Like, what if that's no? Hold on. Wait. Give me a second. Just like with Brandon Walker being associated, he's the heel of college football.
No, because it exists long before I've been a thing. I got lucky in 2019 and got a job. Who knows how I got it. But the year Mississippi State went to number 1 and Dak Prescott was the quarterback, you know what they were picked to finish in the SEC West that year? Sixth. Even though you had Dak Prescott and you had him coming into his own, you had all these things. The next year, Dak Prescott, Mississippi State was coming back. They got finished 5th. Like, they never, ever, ever get respect. It's like, oh, Starkville's bad. Oh, this, oh, that. Use your fucking eyes. This team went 9-4 last year. They beat A&M. They beat Auburn. They beat Ole Miss. They're ranked behind. They beat Arkansas. And they're ranked behind all of those teams, even though they return way more than any of those teams. It's bullshit. Okay. I blacked out for a second. Where are we?
That was phenomenal. I felt that with your chest.
I'm trying to look up stats to back up your point, because Mississippi State hasn't missed a bowl game since 2009 in the SEC. The SEC.
The SEC West, too.
Yes. They play Alabama every year. Not Georgia. They play
LSU. Auburn. Ole Miss.
How many national champions have they played? And then people talk about, and he's right, people talk about Mississippi State as this like bullshit little small town, like, it's lucky they're in the SEC. No, that's Vanderbilt. That's Missouri. Like, it's just, it's truly disrespectful, and everything that you said is facts. And Will Rogers is a guy we'll look back on and be like, wait, why didn't we respect him more? And I understand the concerns. Cole Kublik talked about it. He's never been under center. Those are fine, but let's be honest. Like, not every quarterback Mike Leach has ever had went out there and did what Will Rogers did. He had to go through a few to get to Will to get there.
Yeah.
So
and this under center thing is crazy. kids get to college these days, and the high school offenses are all copies of the air raid anyway. Most guys have not been under center until they get under center. And I'm not sure how often I watch a spring game. Where's this idea that he's going to be under center 80% of the time come from anyway? Almost every snap in the spring game was from the shotgun anyway. So I don't understand. People don't look at the offense that we're going to be running and just assume it's going to be a bad offense for him. I mean, App State put up numbers last year. That's the offense we're running. Whatever. I'm not going to.
No, I'm gonna continue this because, as I mentioned, when I thought we were just doing one for each category, I had two from the SEC. My player was also Will Rogers, because as much as I like to give you shit about it, just like you like to give me shit, if you look at Will Rogers' numbers, everything that you just said, and don't give him the credit, you're not paying attention. And nobody is talking about Will Rogers outside of this podcast. It feels like, or outside of Starkville, nobody is. And I mean, I've sat with you and watched many Mississippi State games, and watching that guy play is pretty damn fun, and nobody cares.
All right. Now, my disrespected coach in the SEC is NA, because I don't think there's a disrespected coach in the SEC. Zach Arnett is new. Clark Lee is at Vanderbilt. And Eli Drinkwitz probably hasn't done very well yet. Billy Napier's not very good. But every other coach, people act like Sam Pittman's a top 15 coach in the country. They say that about Jimbo, obviously won a national title. They say it about Lane Kiffin. Hugh Freeze gets all the respect in the world, even though he's never won more than 9 games in the regular season at a Power 5 school. I think the SEC is full of coaches who get respected too much, and I don't see a disrespected coach in this conference.
I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I don't think that we as a collective on Unnecessary Roughness respect Sam Pittman enough. And this is coming from somebody who goes at it with Arkansas fans. Arkansas fans hate me so much.
Look at this motherfucker, Kayce.
Brandon, you stop. You stop.
It's still my turn. It's still my turn.
Okay, but I'm going against your point because we do not respect Sam Pittman enough on this podcast, and it hurts my teeth
this son of a
as
bitch
those words come out of my mouth. It hurts.
He won 3 games his first year, and Arkansas fans acted like we're back. Then he had a good 9-win season. Last year, they won 6 games, and they beat Kansas in triple overtime. They weren't very good last year.
I agree, and you're not going to hear me sit here and beat the Arkansas drum. That's the last thing I want to do. However, we're talking about Arkansas. We're talking about a team who hadn't won an SEC game in years and years and years and years. Arkansas fans had nothing to be excited about. This guy comes in, not only does he start winning a little bit more, if you look at what he's done in the transfer portal in this offseason, he's went out and gotten some guys. Whether KJ Jefferson deserves all the praise he's getting or not, KJ Jefferson still has a ton of hype around him. And yeah, they did win 9 games at Arkansas. And Sam Pittman is the head coach that's getting it done. And we're not talking about a program that was used to winning 6 or 7 games.
Stop. You and other people act like Arkansas is this hard place to win at. It is not. Houston Nutt won there. Houston Nutt won the West there. Bobby Petrino won there. And
recently it has been.
Huh?
It has been. They went.
It hasn't been. They hired 2 bad coaches. They hired that idiot from
Chad Morris, and then they had Bielema too.
But Bielema was doing fine, and Bielema was doing fine. But they hired Chad Morris. Chad Morris sucks. Houston Nutt won the division multiple times there. Bobby Petrino went to the Sugar Bowl against Ohio State there. It's not a hard place to win at.
But it was until Sam Pittman got there for a little bit. They hadn't won in how many seasons had they not won an SEC game?
You're confusing a hard place to win with just having a bad coach. It was hard for Chad Morris to win there because he sucks.
Mm-hmm. I agree with. I see what you're saying. The rebuilding of the program, that I would say it's more that than, because Arkansas has.
They have had history of success, yes, but they hadn't had it, and they hadn't won a game in the SEC in 4 seasons.
Because of Chad Morris and the end of Brett Bielema, that's it.
But then Sam Pittman comes in and actually does that. So, yes, it wasn't like it's forever long that this trend had been going on, but it was long enough where Arkansas fans were sick of it, and Arkansas was the butt of all the jokes. And if Arkansas was on your schedule, you automatically are like, well, that's a win. We're playing fucking Arkansas. Who cares? In recent history. And then Sam Pittman comes in and changes it a little bit, but also changes the hype around the program. And I do think that that's disrespected for good reason half the time. But I will say, maybe I can't speak for you. I'll speak for myself. When I make fun of Arkansas, Sam Pittman's easy to make fun of as well. But what he has done for that team and that fan base, and then now coming into 2023 with his quarterback, I think he gets disrespected a little bit. And I'm not saying I won't do it.
I think he's a fine coach, and I think he gets more than enough respect for the job he's done. I think he gets over-respected for the job he's done.
Okay.
That's my SEC take. Kayce, have you already given away your SEC takes?
My player was Will Rogers. My coach was Sam Pittman. And then I don't need to go into this because we talked about it a couple weeks ago, but I think that LSU is disrespected as a program because they won the SEC West last year, but because they had a couple bad games, especially the game against A&M. He just stood up and walked away. I don't think that anybody's sitting at home being like LSU stinks, but I don't think that when people look at the West right now, they're just like, oh, LSU's the best team. It's always going to be Alabama. They won the SEC West last year.
How many votes? But they got a lot of votes to win.
Yeah, you got a lot of people saying they could be in the national title hunt this year. On the Barstool Sportsbook right now, Jaden Daniels is the second favorite to win the Heisman, and that is preposterous. That is absurd. I think LSU gets over-respected as well.
They always do.
I don't think they always do. Last year, after one game, the entire program, like the team stunk. Everyone was like, "Oh, LSU's done." LSU's own fan base was like, "Well, this season's a wash." They won the division.
Yeah, I think it was a bad division.
Well, it was. It was a down division. I don't think it was bad. It was a down division.
Fair. That's correct. Jack?
Yeah. I agree with you that the coaches aspect, if anything, I guess I would say a little bit Brian Kelly, but that's the closest coach to – there's a difference between a coach being disrespected and a team.
I know, but overall, he is the head coach.
Yeah, but I would lean more towards Brandon. There's no coach that's disrespected.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
And then player and team, Mississippi State, Will Rogers. We already went through it.
It's Will Rogers in a runaway for me.
Katie?
I agree with the Mississippi State. The only one I would also throw in there maybe is Devin Leary, transferring to Kentucky. I feel like just no one's talking about Kentucky this year. I think he's going to be a much better player than Will Levis. Happy to see him outside of NC State, but yeah, people aren't talking about it. It's all Alabama, LSU, Georgia. No one's talking about Kentucky.
All right. Was that your whole list?
Yeah, I agree with the Mississippi State stuff.
All right, we go to the Big 12. I started all the other conferences. Kayce, why don't you start this one?
I will start this one. I think that the most disrespected player. See, I didn't think about the Big 12, and I feel like all my answers in the Big 12 are always going to be the same. My most disrespected program going into this season is TCU, because everybody is already burying TCU like, oh, they had one magical run, the Hypno-Toad run, Max Duggan, Sonny Dykes can't do it again. I think that we're way downplaying the success that they could have again. With Chandler Morris, you talk about Chad Morris is funny. It's like
that is funny. That's a funny segue that we just had.
Yeah, that
his son didn't go. That he on Friday nights would take a private jet to Texas to watch him play high school football. Yeah,
we always like shit all over Chad Morris. I should not have said that. That sounded weird. Anyways, I think TCU's the program, the coach, and maybe this is just from like our little like world and like Twitter world, but I think that the way that especially Kansas State fans reacted, but like we talked about it throughout the season last year, but talk about a program that's hard to win at. Like Lance Leipold's not getting talked about at all right now. I mean, I know it's Kansas, and I know that they didn't end the season with like great accolades, but still, what he was able to do at Kansas, nobody is talking about him, and nobody's looking at, hey, maybe Kansas can take that next step, and that was an absolute dumpster fire of a program before he got there. And then player, I don't know why I want to say Quinn Ewers. That's like what comes to mind, but that's not a fair one either because he didn't play completely the way he was supposed to. I'm going to pass on that one. Let me come back to me. Let me think.
Yeah, I'll Jack, you do the Big 12, then I'll go.
Okay.
We're all like, oh, the Big 12.
No, I got it. I'm ready to go in Big 12.
Oh, I'm ready.
Go first.
All right. Player? All right, sorry. I'm going to start with Coach Joey McGuire. I mean, McGuire, like through and through. I think he did a great job in his first year at Texas Tech. And in his second year, I think he has a really good team and a chance to really have a marquee win to start off the season. Or it's the second week against Oregon. I know we've talked about that. And then after that, man, it goes Wyoming, Oregon, Tarleton, West Virginia, Houston, Baylor, Kansas State, BYU. Like, I mean, he could Texas Tech could really go on a run here. Not to say any of those games are really easy, but you beat Oregon, like you're really in it. And then team.
I got my player.
UCF. I talked about them the last week, or not last week, a few weeks ago when we were discussing teams to look out for. I think they really could make some noise in the Big 12 this year. Obviously, it's their first year, but man, they brought in the entire Auburn roster, which is helpful for them. And they already had a talented roster. Like, they had a pretty much a roster last year that is just as good as a lot of Power 5 schools, because I mean, good catch.
Thank you.
Where they're located. And then yes, I would say quarterback or player. I think Dylan Gabriel is kind of forgotten about. I think he's a guy that was really good at UCF. He was doing okay at Oklahoma, new system, and he's back, same system. He had that awful concussion against TCU. And then he recovered, and he had a decent end to the season. I think he could have a really, really great year. And so he's a guy that I do feel gets a little bit of disrespect.
Just before I move on, my player, I'm going to take Will Howard from Kansas State.
Nice.
Because the way that we talk about Kansas State sometimes gets like thrown under the carpet. Like they won the Big 12 last year. He was like halfway through the season. I think he ended up playing like 7 games, like started 6, but beat TCU in the Big 12 championship, played really well, had fantastic stats last year. And he's another guy, I feel like I'm repeating the same phrase, but nobody's talking about him. When we talk about the Big 12, we're talking about either the new teams that are entering in or Texas and OU. I obviously am a victim of that as well, or not a victim of, I'm guilty of that as well. But Will Howard last year, fantastic and kind of under the radar as a team that could really be an upset in that conference, and he's a good quarterback.
Katie?
I'm going to go with Mike Gundy. I think...
Fucking knew I should have gone first.
You start.
No, you go.
It's what Brandon said about Pitt. Like, no one really talks about Pitt to win the ACC. No one really talks about Oklahoma State. It's always the Minnesota. They just never are there in the preseason, but at the end of the year, they just sneak up. They're the consistent 8, 9, 10 win team. So it's never going to go away. Just consistency at the end of the day, which in the world of college football, it's not easy to come by.
Continue.
That's kind of what I got from Big 12. I agree with the Kansas State stuff. I could argue Chris Kleiman a bit in Kansas State, but that's my biggest addition.
Yeah, okay, so I'll go in the Big 12. Player-wise, if you look at the first, second, third teams of preseason, you're going to see quarterback. You're going to see Quinn Ewers. You're going to see Dylan Gabriel. You're going to see Will Howard a little bit. You're not going to see Blake Shapen, who only started last year at Baylor. He had 18 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Not great numbers, not phenomenal numbers, but he's moving forward. I think he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the Big 12, and you'll never hear him mentioned whatsoever. You'll hear Will Howard. You'll hear Quinn Ewers. You'll hear Dylan Gabriel. I think Blake Shapen is that next best quarterback over there. And Jalen Daniels at Kansas is good too, but I think he gets his love and stuff like that. I was just going back through the years because the coach and the team is the same. Katie nailed it. Every year you come into the Big 12, is Texas going to win it or is Oklahoma going to win it? Oklahoma usually wins it, but Oklahoma State's been a hell of a lot more relevant than Texas over the last decade and a half. Oklahoma State has, in the last decade, 5 10-win seasons. They barely missed the playoff a couple of years ago when that guy got caught at the goal line. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma State is near the playoff conversation more than Texas is. They are. That's the truth. They've got more 10-win seasons in the last decade than Texas does, but Texas still gets every single headline, every single preseason nod goes to Texas over Oklahoma State. If Gundy was at Texas, he might have 2 or 3 national titles by now with the way they recruit. But he does it at Oklahoma State, and a lot of people, even now, Mike Gundy, yeah, that's I'm a man, I'm 40 guy. No, that's the guy that wins 10 games about every year. That's who he is. I think they get disrespected a lot. And this year, and they might be bad. They might be outright bad. Nobody's saying a fucking word about Oklahoma State. And that's just how they go into seasons. And nobody talks about them. And I think they deserve more. Now we go to the Pac. I just hit my computer. Now we go to the Pac-12. I'm going to go with a coach. The Pac-12 is another one where I think everybody's kind of getting their just due. I think everybody's getting their respect. Everybody's getting their love. Everybody's kind of getting the credit they deserve. I guess I go with Chip Kelly in the Pac-12.
That's my
answer. As far as coach goes, because a lot of the narrative has been, and I know they were pretty good for a time last year, that he's done and he hasn't been able to do it. Like, they've been pretty good the last couple of years. Donovan Thompson, DTR was very good, and now they got the Dante Kelly coming in. Is that his name? That's not his name. Is it Dante Kelly?
Dante Moore.
Dante
Moore.
The
Out
suit,
of-
Dante Moore, yes.
out of Michigan.
I confused the coach and the quarterback. I think Chip Kelly and UCLA are a program, and like even if you look at USC going to the Big Ten, that's the story, right? Well, UCLA is right with them. I think that's a disrespected program. I think that's a disrespected coach. And player wise, I don't know. I think Jaden DeLora maybe at Arizona is a very, very good quarterback who's not going to get very much love. It's a quarterback rich conference this year, and you'll probably get to 6 or 7 before you talk about him. And I think you should. Those are my 3 for the Pac-12. Jack, Kayce, I don't know.
I mean, mine are pretty similar. Coach Chip Kelly, I mean, they won 9 games last year, and it's taken a while for them to be there, but still, I mean, they had a hell of a season. He does have to replace not only DTR but like Zach Charbonnet, but he's still Chip Kelly, and he, UCLA and that division was really tough last year, and I think that they take that next step, especially knowing that you look at UCLA and you say he's the coach, like you feel confident that he can continue to build on what happened last year after 9 wins. I would say program is Arizona, Jay Delora being part of that, but again, Arizona being the butt of the joke a lot of the time, being like, if you see Arizona on your schedule, you just know it's going to be a cupcake walk and you can take that W and keep walking. That's not the way Arizona is anymore. I think that they don't get the respect that they deserve going into this season. And then player-wise, and this is kind of another one where he is getting his flowers, but again, nationally, we're not talking about Michael Penix enough, what he was able to do. We have, but I feel like as a whole, he's not really thrown in the conversation for how good he truly was last year.
Jack?
Team, Oregon.
See, I thought about them too. They were going to be mine because, go ahead.
I think we're thinking on the same wavelength. When we talk about college football playoff teams and whatnot, right, we kind of like Oregon's never mentioned, and it's not to say we think they're going to be bad, but I mean, you look at their schedule, man. If they get past Texas Tech, the Washington away game will be tough, but they have, and then Utah away too. But the USC game at home and the Oregon State game at home, and with Bo Nix returning, second-year head coach Dan Lanning, he's really what last year was so surprising was that offense was great. Yeah. Dan Lanning's in year 2 of his defense, and we know how great of a defense he can build. And I think he's really gotten some pieces in there that can really be special. And if he can put them together, and Bo Nix, and the big issue, and I think the biggest question mark is, hey, how much are you going to miss Kenny Dillingham, the offensive coordinator? How much are you going to miss him? And we'll see. We've seen quarterbacks fall apart, Michael Penix, when they lose offensive coordinator. But maybe they don't. And maybe there was a guy underneath him that is their offensive coordinator now. I don't know exactly who they got.
I think if you go back over the last 15 years, the most consistent playoff teams were always, and BCS, whatever. Alabama, of course, Ohio State, and Georgia recently, Clemson. Oregon might be the next most consistent team as far as the playoff conversation. Like, Oregon's just always in the mix. And even when they have a bad coach or they're changing coaches, they don't really fall. They don't fall at all. What was their baseline? Like 7 wins? They're always there. They're always in the mix. Oregon is a nationally relevant program that kind of gets treated like they're not. And there are, of course, they're annually a Pac-12 favorite, but really they're annually a national favorite, and they don't get that credit.
Yeah, I mean, they had some tough years with, like, after Helfrich, is that Helfrich? He ended at 4-8. I'm just looking at it right now, but man, like, talk about just a really great team program, and I really think Dan Lanning is, hopefully they get to keep him, but I really think he is a guy that is good.
And had they not lost to Oregon by 1 million last year,
to Georgia,
excuse me, had they not lost to Georgia by 1 million last year, the conversation would have been completely different because they were such a good team. It was just that first game was a pitiful display. But
if they didn't lose to Washington, which they kind of blew the game. I remember there was that where Bo Nix came out, Ty Thompson came in, he didn't handle 4th down situations well. If they didn't lose that game, I think they would have, like, they were still in the hunt and whatnot to be like 11-1, maybe go to the Pac-12 playoff. I don't know, on a conference championship game. I don't know how exactly that broke down. Coach Jonathan Smith, we talked about Oregon State all the time. That's really impressive too. Now, and then, I got to ride for my guy. I have to. He's my boy. He stayed in my corner no matter what. I stay in his corner no matter what. DJ Uegalele, I'm riding with you until the end, brother. The disrespect is palpable, and I am ready to watch you go on a run, and you're going to give a middle finger to everybody, and you're going to come into this office, we're going to do an interview, you're going to dap me up. I'm going to be like, I never lost hope. I never lost hope. DJ, DJ.
TikToker.
Yeah, no.
You know, we should all find those players this year. Like DJ is Jax. Like, I don't like the guy who, like, we're going to just ride for until we absolutely can't anymore. Mine's Spencer Rattler. Like, I am dead set on Spencer Rattler being a good quarterback this year. Brandon, do you have one? Because Jack
his name is William Lamar Rogers.
Fair. Katie?
I don't know yet. I didn't
come up with one, because we all. I mean, Brandon's makes most sense. But if Oregon State has
what do you mean mine makes no sense?
I says it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, he said perfect.
Oh, sorry.
Jesus Christ! Damn, he's ready to jump on me.
Also, before we go any further, I'd like to change my Pac-12 one because he's right. The most disrespected program and coach are Jonathan Smith and Oregon State. It's not even close. They're so good every year, and they get no credit whatsoever.
And Jonathan Smith came into a really tough situation there. I mean, you talk about not a lot of talent up in Oregon. You're competing at the lack of talent by
You're recruiting against Nike.
Yes. And all that being said, he's come in and really revitalized that program. I mean, USC's toughest game last year outside of the Utah one was Oregon State, and obviously Tulane, but I'm talking regular season. And Oregon State's special. I love their uniforms. And DJ's going to do special things this year.
If they are good and DJ comes into this office, like, I think Jack might actually cry.
I'm not going to cry, but I'm going to be like, I never gave up hope,
happy
man.
Happy tears.
My big thing is, why would he come into that third world country known as the New York office when we got a better office in Chicago? He'd come throw the ball around.
Because here's the thing, and I hate to let y'all know this. I'm going to whisper this. Nobody goes to Chicago. Nobody important goes to Chicago.
I'm going to Chicago.
Well, you're important. I agree, but I'm saying, is Oregon State where are they gonna go? New York City Heisman ceremony. Boom, bada bing.
Katie, you're don't ever say bada bing on the show again. Katie,
it's the bada bing, Sopranos.
Don't ever say bada bing again. Katie, you're
I've never even seen the show, and I knew that. Okay.
I agree with everything that's been said. The only one I want to add is Kalen DeBoer, and then I think combination with OC and quarterback coach Ryan grew up for Washington, just the turnaround with Michael Penix. Like, I don't know whether it was a bigger addition was being away from Indiana or going into Washington.
Yeah. But
that's just one of the coolest and best turnarounds we've seen in a quarterback in a very long time. I think that's a bigger turnaround than Bo Nix had by a landslide. So I think they just don't get enough praise for just, granted, let's see what Michael Penix looks like this year, if it's continued or a one-off, but
okay,
that's the turnaround we didn't see coming.
Before we go any further, and before we end the show, I want to just put my foot down as the heart and soul of the show, and I've got to say something. That you three and me need to make this show a priority, and it needs to be a bigger deal. And you guys put certain things above this show, and I'm going to call somebody out right now, because 24 minutes ago during this show, this January 6th ass motherfucker tweeted out, "Not y'all meat riding Congress." Laughing emoji, crying emoji, crying emoji, crying emoji. Biggest psyop I've ever seen. Jack, that was 24 minutes ago. You did that during this show. What are you doing?
Because here's the thing, and it's unfortunate. We all have a billion things. My social media group chat was going off, and because we were planning on how to post it and make it seem like it was like down the middle and not taking a side from our brand accounts, which we always do. And I was just in there, and I was just thinking, this is what are we doing? like people are running around like celebrating that the aliens are here. Guys,
we're over here talking college football. Jack's talking about meat riding Congress on Twitter. All right,
caught
in 4K.
Anything else?
Caught in 4K.
Actually, I have a hypothetical question. I was at an event on Saturday, met a Michigan alum. He said the only game that matters for them is Ohio State. AKA, don't care about the Natty, don't care about the playoffs. They only care about beating Ohio State. I took that as like they're setting a ceiling for themselves. Like they just care about that one game. They're not even interested like what happens the rest of the year. Like in his mind, they could never make the college football playoffs again. If you beat Ohio State, great. Or just like lose like Am I the only person surprised by that? Like, yes, it's a big rivalry.
I'm with
like,
you, Katie.
You should start caring for the Natty as well.
I'm with you, Katie, but this is more so like we're both supporters of schools that doesn't have that massive rival. You obviously do in basketball. I think NC State, obviously, you have like a hate of them, but it's different. But whenever I hear like it doesn't matter what our record is the rest of the year, I just want to go 1-0 against Auburn, Alabama, whatever you name it. I hate that too. I hate it. Like I get you want to beat the rival, but come on.
I think, so Brandon, I'll ask you the hypothetical as a guy who hates his rival. Wouldn't you rather, or maybe I shouldn't have led you into that, but would you rather lose every game but beat Ole Miss, or win the national title and lose to Ole Miss in the same season?
Well, I would, of course, rather win the national title
right.
and lose Ole Miss. Yes.
Right. So that's to Katie. So that we're making Katie's point. It's like because I completely agree with you, Katie. Like when I mean, and Dave said it on the college football show all year last year. It's like, well, we're back if we beat Ohio State, and obviously there was a lot more with that. Like, don't get me wrong. I think every school wants to beat their rival every single year, but that's not all that matters. What all that matters is if you beat your rival and then you also win trophies outside of that. And if I had to pick one or the other. Like when A&M and Texas are playing each other every single year in the SEC, I would be okay with losing to Texas every year if I won a national title.
Well, the thing we're not talking about with that guy that talks Katie, he was lying. He was being a fucking idiot because that's just stupid. Of course, that's not the only game that matters. Do you want to win it? It's the most important game on the schedule until it's not. Mm-hmm. Like if you get in the playoff, it's that Ohio State game. Like when Ohio State showed up in Atlanta to play Georgia, think they were worried about the fact they lost to Michigan? No, they didn't give a fuck because for 4 quarters, they almost beat Georgia and almost won the national title. That Michigan-Ohio State game didn't matter at that point. But in the regular season, that's the one you want to win the most until it's not the most important.
Well, and it's also just like, you want the bragging rights. That's the whole point of a rivalry game, right? Like, we beat you. But if you can say, we beat you, Ohio State, and Ohio State can say, we don't fucking care, we won the national title that year, then your argument's moot. Like, who cares?
All right, let's end it here. So, Jack's got to get to Twitter. I'm going to get to whatever I'm doing. And I don't know. Casey's got to go to her son's high school graduation. So... That's been fun. That's Unnecessary Roughness. We'll be back next week.